hard times don't last forever. And I'm going to share a bit about how I overcame hard times. Obviously, it's not perfect, right? I'm not saying I figured everything out, but I understand this is real. Like, this is real. Like, a lot of people are going through hard times, whether that's financially, maybe it's career wise, like purpose wise, or trying to figure it out. Maybe they're starting over. Like, it could be literally anything. And I recognize that people are going through this and it needs to be talked about. Because I feel like oftentimes when it comes to hard times, we tend to battle it alone because you don't want people to know that. Like, sometimes it could be a downer, right? Like, if you're going through hard times, that's all you're talking about. It could be a downer. And what all you're seeing around us is people just sharing highlights, people just sharing the good parts of their life. And people are not sharing enough of hard times, right? Because it's not sexy, but I think it's just more real. So I came across this thread post and someone said, being poor is really cynical stress. I need $200. I hate asking for people to lend it to me so I can go back into surviving on nothing. I'm not okay. I'm tired. I keep hoping for things to get better, but it's literally killing me. And when I read this, it was so relatable because I remember there was a time last year where I felt like the world was crashing down. I was behind on a lot of things. I was just behind on a lot of things. I was behind on bills. You name it. I was just behind, and I felt like no matter what I was doing, I wasn't getting ahead. And I remember I would lay my head on a pillow at night and I'd be talking to God. I'm like, God, I don't know, like, if this is gonna get better. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know how it can get better from here. And so you get to a point where you just feel so hopeless. And I related so much. I don't know if you related to that, where it's like you don't know who to ask, you don't know who to turn to because pretty much everyone else is going through their own thing. And it's just hard. And I remember, and I don't know if I told this story, is I was so down and out. And at that time I was working on my business and to grow it, and I was going through a dry spell with that business, that specific business that I had. And I remember I went into a job interview and it was a job fair. And for some reason, I ended up going later. I quickly learned you have to go in the morning, but I didn't know this. And I remember even taking an Uber, like I couldn't even take a bus to this job. And I remember I went in, um, I remember I went in, hey, so yeah, I remember I went in to the office speaking to the manager. And they told me no, all the spots are taken, and I think the one like spot that was left was the it was for a forklift, and I didn't have a license. And I remember at this point I was begging him, and I'm like, please, 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 please. I'm like, I really need this job, like. And I remember I left that room so defeated. And you know those like automatic sliding doors? And so basically, as I went through that sliding door, I remember I heard a loud voice say, who told you to go and apply for this job? And I remember I looked back, there was no one there, kid you not. It was the Holy Spirit. And I literally heard God's voice saying, who told you? Go back and work on your business. And I remember thinking, but God, like, I need this, like, I'm behind, all this stuff. And all I could hear was, it was all on you now because you used basically your last, like, amount of money that you had. And sorry, this wasn't last year, this was like 2 years ago, sorry. And I remember going back in the car and I'm like, oh my God, this makes no sense at all. And kid you not, I started getting these thoughts where something was telling me, because at the time I had a business mentor helping with my business. And I had these thoughts kept on saying, why don't you ask him, like beg him, like, not beg him, but like offer to do something, like help him with something in the business or something like that. And I guess my ego was too big and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Kid you not, one day out of nowhere, he was like, hey, Nakia, I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay, what is he going to talk about? And kid you not, do you know he ended up like this was before he ended up offering to help me get like caught up with like bills and all that stuff, and basically ended up becoming a partner in my business. Hey, and I remember I was so touched and I was like, oh my God, someone actually helped me. And I share this story because sometimes we think like no one's there. We think, oh, we're going to be stuck because that's how I felt. Like I felt so defeated. I felt like, oh my God, I'm going to be drowning forever. And I can think of other scenarios where, I was down and out and it didn't stay like that. Like it just seems like you always find solutions. Like if you keep on going, you'll always find the solutions to your situation in those hard times. And I remember lately, sometime last year, I wanted to really improve in money, especially since getting like my job, hadn't had a job in a long while. And I was like, okay, I want to do this differently. And I remember I got this idea. I'm like, why don't I just read a book about finances? That's the thing that like I seem to worry about. And from that book, like that's how I recently learned this term. It's called closing a feedback loop. I actually learned this from Layla Harmozy. And basically, just so you don't know what a feedback loop is, let's say you're stuck in something. You would go out and you would find advice for it. Maybe you would hire someone. I don't know. You would read a book, go through a lecture. Um, and basically, that's I didn't realize that was something that I was doing is I was closing the feedback loop. So what closing the feedback loop meaning is I started reading this book called Automatic Millionaire. And that was like basically my start of my journey in finance. Um, and basically it helped me like really take away all that anxious thinking. That feeling where you're like, oh my God, I'm traumatized. Because I went through this hard time and I'm like, I don't want to go back there. And it really helped me taking control of the very thing that I feared or that I went through that I was like, I don't want this to happen again. And I say this because sometimes we can feel like we're victims, like there's no solution to the problem. Like there's no solution to what you're going through. We could feel like, oh my goodness, like I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know like how I'm going to move forward in this. But there's always a solution to that problem. Even if you may not see it now, there's always a solution. And that's why I say the seasons, just seasons that you're in, if it's a hard time, never lasts forever and never lasts. Like there'll come a time where look, you can pay, maybe count on your hands. Like just think back of the times, like maybe years ago, or even a few months ago, or maybe a week ago, where you're going through a challenge and then you overcame it, and now you can actually say, "Oh my gosh, like I actually overcame that. I can't believe I felt like that." And I think the more experiences I go through, like that where I have these hard times and then I overcome them, the more it easier it gets to remind myself, okay, so this is not going to be forever. Like this is just temporary. Hey, um, and that's what you have to remind yourself. You have to look for evidence. So when you feel like okay, this issue, it's like hitting a wall, like you feel stuck, like that same thread that I read to you, and you feel stuck and you're like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna drown, like I'm gonna drown in water, I'm not gonna get back up out of the water. That's a time for you to look for evidence of other situations that you have overcame and survived where you're just still standing today. You have to look back and remind yourself, okay, what did I overcome? Like, what did I overcome? And what happened? And did I actually stay like that forever? That's, sorry, that's what I feel like it's important to remind yourself because of the time when you're in that hard time, it can get really dark. And another tip I would want to give, apart from like, closing the feedback loop, is getting outside perspective. Um, like, don't suffer alone. You don't have to tell everyone, even if it's a therapist, go to a therapist, but like, don't suffer alone. That's like the biggest thing is because we feel alone, but we're not really alone. Like based on that story, that testimony I told you, where randomly like that mentor was like, "Oh, I'm gonna help you." It's a reminder like people are watching, like people see you, even though you may feel like you're not seen. Like people are watching, like people see a lot more of your good characteristics than you do, especially when you're in that moment. Like I remember in that moment, that mentor was like, "Oh, I see you're persistent," and all you like he was saying all these good like these awesome like stuff about me. And I remember thinking like, "Am I really that hard on myself?" Like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit because we're just looking at like this stuff where we're feeling behind. Like we're looking at the parts where it's not working out or like we have so many issues, right? We're just so focused on that. Like it's like your issue is like it looks so big to you that you're not seeing all the good things that are happening around you. Like, right? Like maybe it's like okay, like yeah, like you may be behind in a bill, but it's like you still have a job because people that don't have a job, they're at $0. Yeah, like you may feel alone, but then it's like you have to ask yourself, is that true? Because if you're going to a church or you're part of a community, whatever that is, like you technically are around people, like people care more than you realize, even if you don't see it. Um, so I just want to share that because I feel like I myself can get caught up with that. Sometimes you can forget of all the good things around you that's going well because you're so focused on all the bad things that are happening, all the hardship that you're going through. And yeah, so like when I read that girl's thread, when she's like, I just need like think about like when you break it down, right, to her, she was like, "Oh, I just need $200." And I hate asking people to lend it to me. But it's like when you put a perspective, you're like, okay, I'm not saying it's invalid, but it's like, okay, it's only 200. Like when you break it down, it's like, okay, it's only $200. Like it's not like it's, 100,000, $800,000. Like there's always people in a more like a worse situation. Like when I was behind, I remember when I was behind in my bills, like it seemed worse at the time, but now that I look out from the outside and I'm in like a better place, I'm like, yeah, but I still had a roof over my head. I've still had people like very understanding about my situation. Um, and like no one was really like kicking me down. Like if anything, it was me kicking me down. But like when you look at the outside perspective, like I was still getting encouragement because I was like going to church. And so I was getting encouragement from sermons. Like it just kept me going. Like so, you have to recognize the things that's keeping you going. I think that's just very important, and it's also just like always reconnecting to yourself. So if you haven't gotten that like self connection journal, you need to get it. I think it's just very helpful because it takes away from your everyday life, from work or like all the things that we worry about, and then you're just doing things that you enjoy doing. It's just a reminder for you, and it's just little prompts that it let like reminds you of things that you can do. So you're not just focusing on like the hustle and bustle and all the things that you don't have, but you're also focusing on the things that you do have, and you're connecting with yourself more. And I think a lot of it too is self awareness. I get told that a lot. Like when I talk to coaches and stuff, they're always like, "Well, you're self aware," and I'm like, but that took me a long while to do. Like usually it took me a lot. Like I like to really like learn a lot. I like to like really dig in. And I think the only way to be self aware is taking yourself out of that mode of being feeling like a victim. Like it's so easy to feel like that. Like I have so many reasons to feel like a victim. Where I could be like, I wish this was better. Like, we all have, that thing in our family where you're like, oh my God. But you always wish, oh, I wish I was part of that family. Like there's so many things that we could change. But I think if you look for the good things and you just get self aware of the things that you're good at, you get self aware of the things that are working, like things change. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, guys.